Welcome to Chronic Conversations, the podcast that brings a voice to the stories behind chronic symptoms. I'm your host, Katherine Rose, certified integrative health practitioner, founder of ThriveWell, and soon to be published author. After years of battling unexplained symptoms and finally getting a diagnosis of Hashimoto's, I turned my pain into purpose. Now I help women just like you feel seen, heard, and validated while uncovering the root causes of symptoms and helping to create lasting wellness. Each week, I'll share insights from my own journey, some proven strategies that I use with clients, and conversations with fellow experts and warriors. You're not alone, and you can thrive. Now let's get into today's conversation. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Chronic Conversations. I'm so thankful you're here. I'm really excited about today's episode because I'm talking to my good friend, Julia Albritton, about all things mold. She has quite a story, and I'm really excited for her to share it with you. But a few things first. I know a lot of you listening are probably struggling with autoimmune disease, and a lot of us with autoimmune disease, I'm sure, have had some kind of experience with mold. And one thing that a lot of people may not know is that it's pretty common to have mold, Lyme, and Epstein-Barr virus at the same time. It's unfortunate, but they're kind of like an annoying, inseparable group. So if you're listening and you're experiencing those three things, you're definitely not alone. And then one other thing that I think is important to touch on or to mention, and it could be an unpopular opinion to some, but mold can make certain individuals extremely, extremely ill, and others may not be affected at all. So everyone in a household may not be affected, and the ones that are all can show different symptoms. And Julia, I know you've experienced something similar to this, but before we dive into that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey with chronic illness? Like what symptoms did you start to feel first? When did you think something was not right?
Yeah. So my family moved into a house in May of 2020. We were all healthy and felt great. Within a few months, I started feeling sick. And I initially was just thinking, this is COVID. My kids are home. I'm stressed. But some of the symptoms that first started showing within a few months was skin issues. I had psoriasis covering all my joints. I was breaking out in hives and rashes daily. I felt like I had the flu, no energy, just an achy, feverish feeling. I had brain fog. I had heart, lung, GI issues, thyroid and hormone issues. I would get dizzy and black out. So all this was happening within the first year of moving in this house. And
all during COVID.
I had pulled kids out of school to homeschool. So I was really thinking it was stress. But deep down, I was like, something is going on. My whole body is going haywire. And something's got to be causing this.
Thank you for sharing that. That is a lot. And how long did you live in that house? Remind me. 2020?
We lived there about 2 years.
Okay.
So it took a year and a half to figure out that mold was at the root of everything. So I spent a year and a half going to different doctors and different specialists where they figured out there was some autoimmune stuff and immune stuff. And they would give me medicine, but I just knew deep down there was a reason why all of a sudden my whole body was inflamed and going haywire.
Yeah. And so when you would leave those offices, you wouldn't feel like you had all the answers.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And my brain fog was so bad that I had to carry around a notebook of reminders for the day. And it wasn't just reminders of don't forget bananas at the grocery store. It was reminders like, don't forget to pick your kid up from school at 1:00.
Mm-hmm.
And I just knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
I forgot. I was talking to a doctor. I couldn't tell them my address. And that's when I was terrified.
I remember you telling a story maybe at the grocery store or something.
Yeah, I was with my kids at the grocery store paying and put my debit card in, and I couldn't remember my PIN code. And my kids were right there. It scared them. It scared me. And I just knew something was wrong.
Yeah. What other symptoms at that point right then when you couldn't remember other than the brain fog? Were you blacking out of that?
I was blacking out. I would get extremely dizzy. At that point, I just knew my whole body, like something was going on. But to the doctors, they were like, oh, it's this autoimmune condition. It's this immune condition. And then they would just send me on my way, like, take this medicine.
Kind of like a Band-Aid?
Yes.
Maybe?
Yes.
I guess between those doctors and then like functional doctors, I know that we've all seen a lot of doctors and specialists trying to figure out what on earth is going on with us. But what specific, autoimmune or other conditions have you, I guess, use the word diagnosed with that that you have?
At first, when my skin issues, that was the first symptom. And so I went to the dermatologist and they said I had psoriasis. I was breaking out in rashes and hives and having these like allergic type reactions. And they figured out it was Mast Cell Activation Syndrome, which is like my immune system just going haywire. And then another doctor figured out Hashimoto's, that my thyroid levels were off. And then I was diagnosed with Lyme and Epstein-Barr. And honestly, there's a lot more other little things. Those are kind of the main. I have POTS. A lot of other little things, but those are the big ones.
And Lyme can be really hard to diagnose.
And that took a couple doctors to figure that part out.
But I'm glad y'all did get it figured out. I'm sorry you're dealing with it. Okay, let's talk about the fun part of challenges and struggles. So what have been some of the biggest challenges you faced since being diagnosed with all the things?
I would say one of the biggest is 5 out of 6 of my family members have been affected by mold. At first, it was just me. But with time, 5 of us started showing symptoms and were sick. So as a mom and a wife, it's been really hard to care for everyone else and take care of everybody while I'm not feeling my best. And there's days I don't want to get out of bed, and there's days I don't feel like I have the strength to do it. But I know I've got to show up for my family. And so that's been a big challenge. Yeah. And as a mom, you want to advocate and care for your kids while they're sick and showing symptoms. And so to do that has been hard when I'm not feeling my best.
Right. Absolutely. I'm sorry. Can you share a little bit about the symptoms that your family members have experienced? And because you had mentioned earlier, and then I mentioned that everybody's can be different, but the source or the root can be the same.
Yeah, so it has affected all of us similarly, but also different. 2 of my kids have pandas, where they have like anxiety, OCD, just my youngest can, like, it's behaviorally just can lash out and just kind of out of control behaviors that have toddler-like tantrums. That is brain inflammation. So that's been tough. A few of them have Lyme, Epstein-Barr. My husband, it's affected his lungs, where he wasn't able to exercise. He said he couldn't breathe. That was the main one for him. So we've all been affected a little differently, but similar. I mean, I've had one that was out of school for a while, in and out, flu-like, just not wanting to get out of bed.
Yeah. Weren't migraines?
Migraines. That's been a common one for most of us.
Oh, okay.
Just really bad headaches.
Okay.
So, and it's hard when with a family, if each person is showing different symptoms, that's hard for a family to figure out it's mold when everyone has different symptoms.
Right.
And that makes it tough.
That totally makes it tough. How would anybody know?
Right.
That.
And that's why I'm thankful. In my house, I started seeing a little bit of visible mold in my bathroom. And it was like a light bulb went off, like, whoa, do I need to dig into this? Like, is there a mold problem at my house?
Had you been, I know you're interested in all of this, anything health related, especially like functional and autoimmune related. Had you been digging into any sort of thing prior to seeing the mold? Like,
no.
Okay.
I spent a year and a half just going to different specialists.
Okay.
Really just confused, like what is going on with my body. But at that point, I didn't know much about mold. I kind of thought, oh yeah, that could probably make you a little sick, but I didn't realize what it really could do.
Yeah.
But when I saw a little bit of visible mold, and we had someone come out, and I just Googled mold remediator, and someone came out and they did not do it properly, and we all took a turn. At that point, like overnight, my child could not get out of bed, could not go to school, could not function, and I couldn't either. And so that's when I started diving in and really trying to educate myself on mold.
Because if you don't do it right, remediate it right, it can contaminate.
The bathroom was not sealed properly, and bleach was used, which I learned that both of those
are no-nos.
Are big no-nos. Bleach will make it worse, and that's what it did. It released mycotoxins in the air, which is pretty much poison, and we were breathing that, and we took a turn like immediately.
Yeah. Wow.
So then I started talking to friends that I know that had dealt with mold, and found a remediator that came in, and I asked them, will you just look through my whole house? Like, look everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was then that they figured out there was a leak under my bathtub, that there was a lot of water under the bathtub, mold all in the subflooring. The kitchen had a leak, and all behind the sink, all behind the kitchen cabinets, all in the flooring, there was mold. So we had been living in just toxic mold.
Yeah.
For a year and a half at that point.
Wow. And I remember at one point, so Julia used to live down the street from me. And, just taking out clothes to like air them out, like the mold spores can get on.
Yeah. Everything. It's the type of mold too. There's so many types of mold, but what we had in our house was toxic mold. We had 3 or 4 toxic molds, and we were essentially living in poison and just breathing in poison.
And you can't like see it going into you,
Right.
So it's hard for some people to wrap their head around that something like that can make people so sick.
And that's what can be hard, is because it can be very isolating.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to talk about it because I didn't want people to think it was all in my head. I was crazy.
I think we all have
I looked
that.
healthy, but I was not healthy. I could go out in public and fake it for a few hours and put a smile on my face and go to school, go to the grocery store, run errands, see family, and I would fake it.
Yeah.
And then I would come home and just crash. So it was really the people living in my house and my parents that really saw truly what was going on.
Yeah.
But I would fake it to the world.
Yeah.
Or try at least.
Right.
And,
Same.
and I don't think a lot of people truly knew what was going on.
Right. And that's also draining in itself, I feel like, too.
Yes. I was saying
feel like you have
to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I essentially kind of fell off the face of the earth for a little bit.
Yeah. Same.
But, you look healthy and
But you
don't feel it.
Yeah. Common phrase I feel like we see or hear is like, but you don't look sick.
Right.
I think a lot of people with autoimmune disease can relate to that because we do look. I mean, most days.
Yeah. There are a lot of days it's written on my face that I don't feel good. But for the most part, we can go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
We can show up to a school event and we can kind of fake it.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's hard. And I feel like, there was a season where I feel like I had a 2 hours in my day where I could be
on.
I could be on. And if I needed to be on at night, I knew I needed to stay home all day and rest up.
Yeah.
If I needed to be on in the morning, I was toast the rest of the day. And thankfully, my husband was so supportive and totally he stepped up in ways that were pretty amazing and advocated for me and just cared for all of us. So there are a lot of sweet things that have come from a hard season.
Yeah. I know it's tough, but I'm glad you can see positive in it too.
Yes.
I think we've touched on, how it's affected your daily life and routines. It kind of keeps us from having a daily routine, or at least a consistent one. It's kind of like our health rules our life in some ways sometimes, and that shouldn't be the case.
And sometimes you don't know, 1 week you can feel great.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, you crash. And you don't know when that's going to happen. So you try to schedule stuff and plan stuff, and then you have to cancel sometimes.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's tough.
And that's okay.
Yep.
You got to listen to your body, or else you'll run yourself into the ground.
Yep.
Which I know we've done that before too. Okay. So after, I have so many questions and I don't know which ones to ask in what order. So going back to your story, you don't live down the street from me anymore. And we miss y'all.
That was the hardest part of moving.
But then, what happened in the
So
transition?
When we started testing our house and realizing what we were dealing with, we remediated and we felt like it was best to move. So we gutted the kitchen, we gutted the bathroom, and we moved.
Yeah.
We threw away a lot of our belongings, and we moved.
Yeah. And I don't blame you at all. There's no shame in moving. You completely remediated the house, but there's an element of trauma.
Yeah.
Related to this kind of illness in your whole family being.
You don't even feel safe in the house.
Right.
And there is a trauma piece to it.
Yeah. And so, but I mean, the next people coming in, like they'll be fine. They won't be affected. It's more for y'all. I feel like a mental.
Yeah. A clean start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. And we knew we needed to, there was certain stuff we could take with us and certain stuff where you watched me those months getting ready to move. My driveway was full of stuff that I was cleaning, anything that went with me.
What were some things that, in your research you knew you couldn't take? And then what kinds of things could you?
So we rented a dumpster and had it in our driveway, and we knew we had to get rid of all our bedroom furniture. Advice to me was like, they're everyone's rooms. Like, you need to get rid of everything in their rooms, their mattresses, their beds. So we got rid of toys, all their everything in their bedroom. I was able to clean kitchen stuff, anything that could be soaked and cleaned, I could keep. But we had to get rid of a lot.
What did you soak things in?
Vinegar.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, I mean, I did buy something that a mold company recommended that I think was great. But at the end of the day, vinegar was cheaper and just as effective.
Totally. Yep.
So I would clean everything in vinegar, anything that I took.
Yeah. I guess, are some surfaces more prone to, I don't know, absorbing or having it mold spores on it? Like clothing, fabric, kind of?
I had stuff to wash our clothes in, and I would wash it a couple times. Borax, I would add borax in there. And I would do a load of laundry, clean it, and I would box it up and get it out. And I mean, I had a trauma piece to it where I was terrified to take anything to the new house that had any mold spores.
Yeah.
I think we were that sick. I was so desperate and so wanted to get us better.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't contaminate this new house. Anything that comes with me, I need to be confident that it's clean.
Right. Yeah.
So my driveway looked like a mess for a few weeks because I would soak silverware out there in vinegar. I would soak anything I was taking. I would clean it out there and then let it sit out there. I did take some furniture that I regret taking, but in the moment, we did what we thought was best.
Sure.
But I didn't take curtains or rugs and we left a lot behind.
Just the whole cleaning process and everything and getting out. I know y'all had to get out of your house for the remediation, I think, anyway, for a little bit, maybe not.
We ended up staying. Looking back, I wish we would have gotten out, but we're a family of 6. We had multiple animals. So we lived in it. So yeah, we're a big, loud, crazy crowd. But everything was sealed off. Our kitchen was sealed off. Our bathroom was sealed off. We turned our dining room and living room kind of into a kitchen and just set up shop and made it an adventure. And I think I was also we were so sick that the thought of packing us all up.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And going to rent somewhere. And we were already putting so much money in the house. The thought of going to rent somewhere.
Right.
We can't do that. And we were sick. We had animals. We stayed put. So, but we put our house on the market pretty much the day the house finished.
I remember. That is really stressful and not helping any condition that you're struggling with. I'm so sorry that you got to do what you got to do.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. In the moment, as Mama Bear, you just you just make it happen and you do it.
You do. Your adrenaline.
Yeah.
Your advice.
You are. Yes. I crashed once we moved, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. So then what? So you find a house.
We found a house, and that's right when we went under contract with it. We had it tested for mold. We had someone come look. We had them tested. I do not want this to happen again.
Yeah.
Sadly, we found ourselves in another hard situation. We had it tested. They said they felt comfortable. Any house is going to have some mold in it. No house is going to be totally clear. But they felt good about it. So we went forward with the house. Looking back, we should have gotten a second opinion. We didn't. So we moved in this house. I kind of crashed, but I thought that was because
everything that you had done.
We've just been through 8 months of a remediation.
Yeah.
We're sick. Of course I'm going to crash.
Sure.
So people started saying oh, you must feel better. You're in the new house.
I was probably one of them.
And I don't want to be negative. And I think I would just smile and be like, we're getting better. And I think I was hopeful that I knew it would take time. I mean, doctors warned me
sure,
you lived in this for a few years.
It takes a while to detox.
Take a while to detox. So I was just very hopeful, and I didn't want to admit no, I'm still feeling bad.
I know. You don't want to admit it to yourself.
I did not want to admit it. And so months went by, and then when we moved, 2 of us were definitely showing symptoms. My youngest, I knew was showing symptoms, but I hadn't tested her yet. She was young, and I hadn't taken her in yet. So at this point, I knew 2 of us, most likely 3 were affected. But a few months into living in the new house, I started noticing my son was getting sick. Migraines. I mean, he at the time was 8 or 9, and an 8 or 9-year-old boy should be full of energy. I mean, he would get a full night's of sleep and not want to get off the sofa because he was so tired. And that was not like him.
Right.
Not at all. And so I started seeing symptoms oh no, he's not feeling himself. My husband started having lung issues. He had to stop exercising. He said he could not breathe. So more people were started to be affected. And I think I was kind of in denial.
Sure.
But then...
It's like a defense mechanism.
Yes, I just didn't face it. And a few months, or about 9 months into living in the house, I go back for a follow-up appointment with my functional doctor, and she retested my mold levels, and they doubled.
Oh, gosh.
And I just sat there and cried to her. I knew deep down we were most likely still living in mold, and I was in denial. But when I saw those numbers that doubled,
it probably broke part of
it did, because I just thought I'm so tired of this. We have gone to extreme measures to get better, and we're not better.
Right.
So she recommended a different mold remediator, and he came in and he discovered that our ductwork was full of mold. So we replaced all our ductwork, and he has been a huge help. And
good.
I finally can truly say I think we're in a safe place and doing better.
Good. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad. And to note on that, for remediation companies, make sure, or if you feel like you've been exposed to mold or have some sort of mold source in your house, make sure that who you use is reputable. Just ask around.
Ask your doctors.
Yeah.
Ask people that you know that have been through it, because I've learned the hard way that there are a lot of people out there that don't do it properly. And it's a nice expense. Yeah.
But it must be done.
Yes.
Wow. All right. Thank you for sharing all of that. One thing I remembered when you were talking, didn't your cat get sick too?
Yeah, we lost an animal.
So sorry.
Yes.
That's wild.
And she was young, and we watched her decline. I mean,
gosh.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you share some strategies, or what's like your biggest source of comfort? Help you like when you feel your lowest low, like that whole cycle in your mind of like, I'm never going to get well. I can't get out of bed. How am I possibly going to do this? Like what's your go-to?
Well, honestly, this is the first time in my life where I could not rely on my own strength. I was a college athlete. I've always been in shape. I loved exercising. I loved being active. But it is the first time in my life where I'm like, wow, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't think I can get out of bed. I don't know how to tackle my day. I don't know how, just the thought of waking up and feeding my kids breakfast and getting into school seemed impossible.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in bed multiple mornings, holding back tears, like, how am I going to do this? And that's the sweet part about this season is I felt that the Lord has been like right by my side. Like, let's get out of bed. I've got this. Like, I'm going to carry you through this day. I realized I couldn't rely on my own self and my own strength to do anything.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's been a sweet season where I've felt like I'm out in the middle of the ocean with the waves crashing down on me and I'm just trying to keep my head above water.
Yeah.
But I know that like the Lord is holding me up and he has given me a peace in the middle of it that was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
It's powerful and amazing.
So there was days I'm like, how am I going to carpool my kids today? How am I going to do this? But it was the Lord that like carried me and got me through it.
Yeah.
And I'm not out of it yet. I'm still dealing with it all.
Right.
But I can confidently say that the Lord has not ever left me and he's been right there with me through it all.
Yeah.
And I know like there is a reason, like I know he will heal me and I know I will be better, but he still has me in this season for a reason. And so I just remind myself that like there's purpose in this and he still has me here for a reason.
Yeah. 100%. So powerful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's sweet. So when it comes to like, do you need a tissue? So once we get this mold in our bodies, once we inhale it and it's all hanging out in our body somewhere, that needs to be detoxed out. And there are certain ways that we can do it. And you need to do it with the guidance of a doctor or practitioner. But what has been I guess you can speak to either yours or a family member's like main quick process of like processing the mold or detoxing it is not a quick process, but just kind of go down a quick list of what y'all been doing
or
what,
or just
eat. I know there's foods that are detoxing. I know there are certain like glutathione and things like that help push things out, but
we are all definitely on binders that are helping us get it all out. One of the biggest things for us has been a infrared sauna. Just sweating it out has been huge. So my doctor says we need to sweat daily, whether that's through like gentle exercise,
right.
which is hard.
Yeah.
I like to push myself. So on days where I feel pretty good, I want to push myself, but I know I should not.
It's so hard.
So hard.
And then if you do end up pushing yourself on days you feel good, I mean, are you down and out like for days?
I'm down for about 4 days.
Yeah.
So you would think I would learn my lesson.
No, I mean, I'm the same way.
But,
same way.
If there's a day I'm like, wow, I feel kind of good.
Yeah.
I have energy. I'm going to go for a run. Or I'm going to go play a tennis match.
Yeah.
And I pay for it.
Right.
But
frustrating.
Sweating through the sauna has been huge. And I really think that's been a big piece for me.
Yeah.
With helping me heal.
Good.
And just detoxing it all out. But yeah, we're on a lot of different, like, mitochondrial support.
Yep.
I mean, we have my kitchen is full of all the supplements.
Yep.
But I think it's important to go to a functional doctor and figure out what binder is right.
Yeah.
I think different molds will need a different binder. So I think that's important to make sure you're doing it through a doctor.
Sure. Yeah, don't just go out and try to order one.
Yeah. And another a big one that I think has helped me a lot is low dose naltrexone.
Yep.
Which is, I think, just helped all the inflammation in my body. I feel like my whole body has just kind of calmed down.
Yeah.
And it's been a big help.
Yes, I've heard really good things about it. And for those listening, you've probably seen it in short called LDN. And it seems to help a lot of people like us with inflammation. Like Julia said, just bring it down. But I'm definitely still reading more about it.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah.
Good.
And definitely clean eating. We've cut out gluten and trying to cut out dairy.
It's a toughie.
But that's hard to tell for kids.
It is. Yeah.
Certain stuff, but definitely gluten for us. And just clean eating.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Which is hard these days.
It is hard. And also to do all of those things and to remember, like, when to take your binder and just all the things. Like, it's enough for yourself to have to remember all those things.
Right. I know.
I think that we've texted before at night, like, oh, I'm just staying up waiting to take my binder. Like,
I need to take it 2 hours after
meal or supplement.
And in the morning, so I have, all 6 of us have a little basket in the kitchen.
Aww.
And so in the morning, I feel like I'm a nurse. I'm like, all right, you're up next. Come take your stuff. And I'm just giving each person their.
Can your younger one swallow?
No. So she has little tinctures that I put in water. Yeah.
Oh,
so we're working on that because that will be easy. But no, she cannot yet.
Okay. Well, I mean, mine can't.
Yeah.
They're older than her.
My 9-year-old can. But yeah, not my 5-year-old.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, cool. The detox process. And I know there's also a process, we're not going to get into it right now, but like in order of things, like you've got to detox the mold first before the Lyme can be addressed. Is that right? Yeah.
That's what they recommend.
Right.
And I addressed the mast cell before I addressed the mold.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get my immune system calmer.
Yeah. So a few more questions. So how important has connecting with others who have chronic illness been in your journey? I know, well, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, it's been huge because that's when you realize you're not alone. When you moved down the street from me and I started getting to know you, just us talking, that we're going through similar stuff. Like symptoms might be different, but we're both struggling.
Yeah.
And to know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that other people are going through similar things. And I know many days I would sit with you and other girls and we would all talk.
Yeah.
They were all going through similar stuff. And just talking to each other about that.
It was so helpful.
It's so helpful.
So helpful. Like we should do.
Because when you're in your own home and you're in your own head, like.
Oh, yeah.
It just.
Can spiral and snowball and Yeah.
And it's just community is so important.
So important.
And when you're sick and you're staying home more because you don't feel like getting out of your house, it's just isolating.
The walls start to close in.
Yes. And you feel like you're on your own. And, but when you talk and meet with people that are going through similar things, and just know that you're not alone.
Right. It's huge to me. In the beginning of this, and you probably felt the same way, I felt like you, isolated, alone. I didn't know that anybody else in the world was going through similar things that I was. And then being told to like cut out all these foods and I'm like, nobody I know cuts these out. Like just even little things like that can.
And then just to sit around with people and you feel heard and understood.
Yeah.
Is huge. Huge.
Oh, let's start that back up after some.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And support groups. We've already talked about that. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to share to others that have gone through this, are currently going through this right now? I know I have a good friend that has just found out that her levels are super high, mycotoxin levels, and y'all have been connected. And some people get this news and they're like a deer in headlights. Yeah. Like, what do I do? What can I do? Anyway, I don't know if you have anything else.
It's so overwhelming at first because you're like, where do I start? What do I do?
Yeah.
But I look back on my last 4 years and I think my advice to myself 4 years ago would be like, reach out for help.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to talk about mold. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid people are going to think you're crazy or it's in your head. But when you need help, reach out.
Yeah.
I think for me, that would be one of the biggest things. And just, if you know anyone that's going through it, reach out to them. You're not alone.
Yeah.
And I think I felt alone. I had a husband that was super supportive and right there with me through it all. But outside of my little house and my parents, but I just felt alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of people can relate to that, myself included.
Yeah. And you're having to like cancel dinners with girlfriends and, you're not up for beach trips or you're not up for, and that's tough.
That is tough.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing, there is a trauma piece to it. So if you
100%,
if you need help counseling, like just reach out for help.
Yeah. I think that's great. Something you said made me remember a few summers ago. I don't remember if this had to do with my mold exposure at the time, but anyway, the beach, the kids were younger and they still had nap time. So during their nap time, like I didn't go, well, I couldn't leave anyway because they were napping, but or just sit outside on the porch or something like that. Like I had to be in bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, just what I had to do.
Yeah. And it's hard as a mom when you don't, like, if you don't have the energy, it's hard to take care of other people.
Yeah.
When you're not feeling your best.
And they don't understand.
And like, oh, I don't have the energy to take them to the park today or do this or do that. Or even the thought of like taking them to the beach. Like, oh, I definitely can't do that. Like it's just, it's tough.
Yeah, it is. Super hard.
It's really hard.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
Somehow.
So I think a support system is huge.
So huge. Yes, I think that's a great tip. I appreciate you sharing all of your story and all the amazing things. I know it's not amazing in the way that you're feeling, but amazing in sharing your story so that others can hear it and relate to it.
And there's always good that comes out of tough stuff.
There is. Yep. 100%.
Days when I don't see it, I just have to remind myself.
Yeah.
The good that has come from it all.
You're so right.
And I think about like our friendship.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for you and how you have like encouraged me and loved on us well. And it was an instant like connection.
Yeah.
When you moved on my street and we bonded over this.
Right.
But you need friends to help you get.
You do. Yeah. friends, support, all those things are super helpful. Okay, one more thing I just wanted to note to anybody listening. If you think that you've been exposed to mold or if you think you're living in it currently, you can always test for it with a mycotoxin test. That's one test. There are other functional tests as well. You probably have to go to a functional practice to get it. You can also test through me. I'm happy to help with that. And also, the last thing to note is whether you think you're living in mold right now or not, you could have been exposed to it like months or, I don't know, a year or so. And it could still be hanging out in your body, causing symptoms. So that's also something to think about. Not to scare you. I'm just trying to educate and make people aware.
I think another thing is like you think of mold, like visible mold. A lot of times in houses, it's hidden. So I would encourage you guys to look like in the water, like in your house, under your kitchen sinks, in your bathrooms, wherever there's water and plumbing, to just occasionally just check.
Yeah.
Sometimes under our sinks, there's you just had a lot of junk in there. I know my bathroom, or kitchen sink, and, periodically cleaning it out and getting a good look.
Yeah. Bathroom sinks.
Yeah.
Yeah. All those things.
But yeah, I think that's what a lot of times it's hidden.
Yeah. That's something to keep in mind for sure. I know that we have to wrap this up right now, but again, Julia, thank you so much. And everybody listening, I hope that this was helpful. Send me questions anytime.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Chronic Conversations. I hope you're walking away with a little more clarity, hope, and inspiration for your healing journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love for you to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Every share helps this show reach more women who deserve to feel seen, heard, and validated. And if we're not connected yet, come say hi on Instagram. I'm at callmekatherine.rose. Plus, you can check out free tools and resources for your wellness journey anytime at callmekatherine.rose.com. And until next time, take care. And here's to thriving well, no matter where you are on your journey.